Hi everybody, here is Fabio bringing you the state of a Mistweaver Monk in Battle for Azeroth Alpha. And we had a first iteration of changes for the Mistweaver Monk last Saturday. I had more or less a week to work on it and to prepare a nice video about it. I had the video ready to be uploaded, and then Blizzard decided that it was time to make important changes to the talent panel. So I had to throw out that video and restart from scratch, but it doesn't really matter. So let's get right into it. We need to start from the changes that happened last week because they are very important and they do affect the core mechanic of the Mistweaver Monk. So let's start. A fuse has been removed. A fuse was the cheap and inexpensive spell that we had. But we have now Soothing Mist castable back. So in general, those changes go back to the root of to the origins of the Mistweaver Monk as healing style, because we have Soothing Mist castable. It is an instant cast that starts the channel. But when you're channeling Soothing Mist, you have that your Enveloping Mist and your Vivify are instant cast on your target. Oh, by the way, as you can see, most of the information that I'm bringing to you guys are from the website Peak of Serenity. It's the same website that is prepared by the Discord community, so I do absolutely recommend you go and check it out. It is very detailed and it has all the changes very quickly. So we were saying Soothing Mist castable, Essence Font and Vivify instant on the target, but we have also an important change to Vivify. Vivify now it heals for 100% of spell power your target, but it also heals now for 45% of spell power anybody in your raid that has a Renewing Mist on them, okay? So this is a very important change. Obviously, it brings it back to similar to what was Uplift at the beginning if you played the Mistweaver Monk in Mist of Pandaria. Actually, in Mist of Pandaria, I was raiding with my Mistweaver Monk as my main. So I do remember the time where you could, with the Chi, channel up to 5 Uplift in a row and deal anyone that was that had a Renewing Mist on them. And it was quite an important burst heal at the time. Now the mechanic is quite different. You will not probably spam Vivify most of the time, but let's see why. Now, as you can immediately understand, there is this very nice interaction between our Renewing Mist and the spell Vivify. You obviously want to have as many Renewing Mist out as possible in order for your Vivify, when you cast it, to heal as many players as possible, which is very, very nice, and it is a fun gameplay. So everybody is hoping and praying that we can have maybe in the Azeroth armor or anywhere else additional ways in order to increase the number of Renewing Mist that we can get out. Somebody is asking to change our mastery, that is not the best and doesn't scale very well, into something that increases the number of Renewing Mist that we can get out. Unfortunately, I mean, that sounds very fun, but it is quite risky, because if we get to a point where we have too many Renewing Mist out, Vivify could become overpowered, so Blizzard has to be careful, strike a right balance there. But this synergy seems very powerful and sets the basis for Vivify to scale very well in Battle for Azeroth. Now, let me say that these are all the changes that we had last week, and for a week I had a dream, because you know that we had the talent. I pull up the talent panel here, Misrep, and it was current 1 week ago, and you may now channel Soothing Mist while moving. So if you think about it, we could take this talent, channel Soothing Mist while moving, and then have Enveloping Mist on our target to be instant cast, so it was castable on the move, and also Vivify instant cast castable on the move as long as you're channeling Soothing Mist. So at that point we had basically all of our spell to be castable on the move as long as you're channeling Soothing Mist on your target. So this would empower greatly the healing on the move capability of a Mistweaver Monk. So I thought, yeah, Mistweaver Monk is the second Resto Druid, but actually no, because we had a change just yesterday, as I was saying, with the new talent panel. So we're gonna take a look at that and see what has changed. Oh, by the way, the Mistweaver Monk obviously is still a quite mobile healer in terms of mobility and in terms of healing on the move capability. But still, as you will be able to see now, it is not capable to heal on the move to the extent of the rest of the druid, but it's quite fine. So let's get started, and we're gonna take a look at the talent row by row because there are many changes, so it is definitely worth it to do so. Let's start with the row 15. And we have now Mist Wrap in row 15 and instead of the Zen Pulse. But Mist Wrap now increases enveloping mist duration by 1 second and its healing bonus by 10%. So most likely you will end up taking this in Mythic Plus or wherever you need to empower your enveloping mist. In a raid environment, most of the time you will end up taking Chi Wave in case you can take advantage of the bounces and you need the instant cast, so you need the to be castable on the move. Otherwise, Chi Burst is gonna stay as the strongest throughput talent of this row, most likely because it has a cast and you cannot cast on the move. Now, row 30 and row 75 had some talent swap around. Tiger Last especially changed from row 30 to row 75, and this is quite an important change because now you have a lot of freedom regarding what you can take as mobility or as defensive. Because if you want to go full mobility, you can go Tiger Last and Chi Torpedo or Celerity, depending on what you think it is more viable for the fight. Otherwise, if you don't need mobility but you need defensive, you can take Diffuse Magic, Dampen Arm, and you have obviously Fortifying Brew as baseline. So at this point, you have many defensive CD. Obviously, these have not changed. Diffuse Magic is a 60% magic damage reduction. Dampen Arm is the 20 to 50% damage reduction depending on how big is the hit. And Fortifying Brew does not change, 20% increased health and 20% damage reduction. So what can I say about those? It depends on the fight. If you have to soak something, you're gonna have to take many defensive CD. If you have to move around and you know when the movement is gonna be required, you can take the mobility talents and you're gonna be fine. Now let's go to row 45. Now we have a nice addition to row 45, which is Mana Tea. Mana Tea, as you can see, previously was in row 100, and now row 45 is 100% about mana. So the unfortunate thing is that in the end it will come down to math, which of those will get me back most mana. And you will obviously take a Spirit of a Crane if you know it's a fight where you will be able to fist wave a lot, and otherwise most likely in a raid environment Mana Tea will be the way to go. Row 60. In row 60, as you can see, we no longer have leg sweep because, as you know, we had this change like 1 month ago. Leg sweep is now baseline. Instead of leg sweep, we have a new talent called the Tiger Tail Sweep. Increases the range of leg sweep by 2 yards and reduces its cooldown by 10 seconds. So very nice. But there's gonna be a fair competition between Song of Chi-Ji and Ring of Peace, because now, as you know, you can take, if you want, Song of Chi-Ji and keeping your leg sweep as baseline, and the same you can do for Ring of Peace. So depending on the fight and depending on the Mythic Plus, you will be able to choose whichever is best. Row 90 didn't change at all as talents. They are the same talents, just swapped around. The only thing is that Summon Jade Serpent statue received an important buff yesterday, but currently is basically more powerful than Enveloping Mist, so it doesn't make sense. So the real numbers are not ready yet. We will see some changes in the future, but it seems that Blizzard has acknowledged that the statue is underpowered at the moment and it needed some buff. So let's see what's gonna be the final power level of the statue. My prediction is that for the mechanic, for how they work, 90% we will end up taking still Refreshing Jade Wind, because it has a nice mechanic for healing the raid, because it's an instant cast, creates this tornado that heals up to 6 allies within 10 yards, so it's a very nice AoE healing. And now we are ready to discuss row 100. Row 100 is by far the most important. We had two new talents in row 100, and they do affect the core mechanic of, well, they do affect the core healing of the Mistweaver Monk. Let's start from Focus Thunder. Focus Thunder have not changed, is the only talent that stays the same. But remember that now we have this very nice synergy between Renewing Mist and Vivify. I'm saying that because Focus Thunder, obviously, Thunder Focus D now empowers your next 2 spells. And as you know, Thunder Focus D can be used on Renewing Mist, and when you use it on Renewing Mist, it doesn't trigger the cooldown of Renewing Mist. So, let's do some math. We are losing the artifact weapon, so the duration of Renewing Mist go down to the original duration, so it has been reduced. And normally you can have 3 Renewing Mist out at any time if you do your job properly and you're casting Renewing Mist on cooldown. If you're using Thunder Focus D, you can have 4. If you have this talent, you can have 5 Renewing Mist out ticking. So this means that when you're casting Vivify, you're healing for 100% of spell power your target, and you're also healing for 45% of your spell power other 5 allies, also only in that specific window of time. So you need to prepare for it. Before the big damage comes in, you cast your Thunder Focus T, you have your 2 additional Renewing Mist out, and then when the damage enters, you are ready for your empowered Vivify. So it's very nice because there is this synergy, there is this preparation, you need to be ready for the big damage. But we have 2 new talents, 2 very interesting talents, so let's see what Blizzard is proposing to us. One of the 2 new talents is called Essence Well. For every 6 seconds Essence Font spends off cooldown, your next Essence Font may be channeled for 1 additional second. The duration of Essence Font heal over time is increased by 4 seconds. Well, it's nice, the extension of the duration over time of Essence Font, but the most powerful thing is the fact that you can now channel Essence Font longer and cast more bolt flowing around. This talent is gonna be viable only when there are spikes of damage and phases where there is nothing to heal at all. There are certain fights that can be like that, absolutely, so this is not gonna be a dead talent, but the throughput increase that it provides is viable only on those circumstances, and I must say that most of the mythic fights are not like that, so we will end up taking this talent only in niche situations, okay? How it works, it's very simple. Just you're not casting Essence Font where you could cast it, you wait to be empowered, and when the damage enters, you have available an empowered Essence Font, and you can even cast Thunder Focus T on your Essence Font In that case, the channel is gonna be twice as fast, and you're gonna have a very important burst of healing. So this is a healing burst, but it reduces overall greatly the throughput of your Mistweaver. So you will not be able to take this in any circumstance, even if the burst that can provide is quite powerful. And now let's see the last new talent, which is called Rising Mist. Rising Mist is very, very interesting and seems quite fun. Rising Sun Kick heals all allies with your Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, or Essence Font for 20% of spell power, and extends those effects by 2 seconds. Quite nice, isn't it? Well, first of all, because it throws in a DPS spell in our rotation. Again, let's calculate how many players will be healing Rising Sun Kick. Well, you have anybody with Renewing Mist, which we have said that is from 3 to 5 players, Enveloping Mist, which normally could be 1, and Essence Font. Well, this is the big one, because Essence Font, as you know, throws around 3 waves of 6 bolt each. So theoretically it's up to 18 targets. So you could have easily all of your raid with some hot that you have on them, and that can be healed with your Rising Sun Kick. So it is quite nice, and it's quite powerful, because it's only 20% of spell power, but it's for the whole raid. But this is not gonna be game breaking. For example, as I was saying, Essence Font is 18 bolts total, and those 18 bolts heal for about 33% of spell power. So this is 20, could be 20 player for 20% of spell power. So in total, Rising Mist is gonna provide your Rising Sun Kick to heal for less than your Essence Font. So this means that it's not gonna be quite a big burst, it's not gonna be a revival by any means, but it's something that you have in addition to your AoE rotation. So let's consider how it's gonna be your AoE healing rotation in Battle for Azeroth. You have Refreshing Jade Winds, obviously, with its 9 seconds cooldown. You can cast Essence Font, and that obviously before that you're still casting Renewing Mist on cooldown. As we are saying, absolutely do whatever you want, but you need to cast your Renewing Mist on cooldown in order to have your Vivify empowered. So Refreshing Jade Wind, Essence Font, Renewing Mist on cooldown, and at that point you're ready to cast your Rising Sun Kick. That is gonna heal for 20% of spell power, more or less all the raid. And then you might have some Vivify in between, and you restart your rotation with a Refreshing Jade Wind. So all in all, you are quite busy, you have a lot of things that can do, and you can, stagger those in order to have your cooldowns back effectively. Now, in conclusion, what has changed for the Mistweaver Monk? What are the additional tools? Is it better? Is it worse? In general, it is much better. We know that many other healers add nerfs, especially to their burst capability, while Mistweaver Monk had some important addition to the toolkit. First of all, single target healing capability. It has been increased because you now can channel Soothing Mist, and then you have your Enveloping Mist instant on your target, and then you have your Vivify instant on the target and heals the target for 100% of spell power. So combining all those together, you can have a very nice single target healing, and you can take also Mist Wrap if you need to boost your healing, single target healing even more. In general, for AoE healing, we have an empowered Vivify, because now Vivify heals all of the players that are affected by Renewing Mist, and as you know, all the players that are affected by that have a Renewing Mist on them are for sure injured, because otherwise a Renewing Mist jumps on another target. So you're sure with the Vivify to heal somehow all targets that are actually injured. And you have in between a very nice raid wide the Rising Sun Kick heals for 20% of spell power. So your AoE burst is slightly increased. As I was saying, is weaker than Essence Font, so it's not gonna be a huge burst, but it has been increased compared to what we had in Legion. The problems are still probably the mastery that still doesn't scale very well, and Cocoon is still not a great tank talent. In the latest build they increased the power level of Cocoon. It's now for 900 of spell power, but in order to be used as a tank CD, increasing the spell power probably is not the way to go. The most effective way would be to add somehow a damage reduction together with Cocoon. I don't know, a 10% damage reduction would be fine to bring it in line with the Iron Bark of the Resto Druid, which is the weakest of a tank CD. But now shielding only still remains absolutely the weakest tank CD. Probably it cannot even consider a tank CD. The mobility of a Mistweaver Monk is, well, basically it is increased because now you can have Tiger Last together with other mobility spells, or you can have pure defensive. So even in that sense, the toolkit of a Mistweaver Monk has been increased a little bit. It doesn't change very much the capability of healing on the move of a Mistweaver Monk, because Vivify still cannot be cast on the move because you cannot channel Soothing Mist on the move. The only thing that you can cast on the move that previously couldn't is this Rising Sun Kick. So guys, let me know what you think of a new Mistweaver Monk. It seems a lot of fun and it has been brought on par with other healers, so I'm very excited. I very much like the new talent setup because it lets you choose what you really need for the fight that you're gonna go into, and also I very much like the new synergy between Renewing Mist and Vivify, and the fact that we will be constantly find ways, look for ways to increase the number of Renewing Mist that we can get out. So thanks for watching guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Ciao!